Okay, welcome back everyone. Let's take a look now at the Module 4 Team Negative Business Communicative Element Activity. Now again, this is the one that we actually reviewed in class on March 8th. And this will also probably be a good review for you as you develop your individual negative business development message. So let's go ahead and take a look now and see what we got. Again, here is the poorly written communique. Again, as you can tell by just looking at it, it will be a letter of some kind. But as you can see, it doesn't start out with the correct approach for a negative message. It jumps right into the regret. We can't do whatever you want, so that's not very helpful. Also, as you go through it, you will see that even though there may be attempts to kind of provide information, they actually kind of turn out to be somewhat of negative connotations, and as I mentioned in class, kind of slams. So again, this was not very well done. Well, so some things you want to keep in mind here as we evaluate this one. First of all, again, it is a poorly written negative communique. Again, in this particular case, it is a letter. Again, remembering the logical flow of a negative message. Again, we start off in the opening with a buffer, possibly a statement or two about goodwill. Remember that when you send a negative message, the recipient is anticipating a reply. Now, generally speaking, if it's, for example, in response to a bad situation they had or a complaint, you got to keep in mind that the individuals when they contacted you, their anxiety levels are increased. They're probably not happy. They're upset. And granted, after they file the complaint, things calm down. But as soon as they see that this is a response from your organization, those anxieties do increase again. So we need to kind of calm things down a little bit. So we got to start with that kind of a neutrally, maybe a pleasant approach. Next, we have to get into in the body is this is kind of where we present the details of the information. But again, we don't jump right into the no. As a matter of fact, we never do say no. We never say no, not, can't, won't, anything of a negative nature. Every time you use those words, remember they're already sensitized, and as soon as you start using in a negative term, even terms such as however, as an example, those are going to be enough that could trigger anxiety, and your message that you want to get across to them could be lost. So, in the body, you want to start off with possibly, again, maybe some kind of a buffer or a neutral statement. Maybe something to do with the situation, but not necessarily directly mentioning the issue at hand. Then the best approach is to suggest the reason for, and that usually and most often is because of company policy. Particularly in this particular case, we'll see it is company policy, but then you need to immediately put in the bone or the alternative. Again, every negative response needs to have some kind of a bone. It's just no, we're not going to do it, and yeah, good luck. So again, consider the bone. If there is information that needs to be mentioned about the bone, maybe a way of obtaining what the alternative might be, again, that would immediately follow it and probably close out the body itself. Finally, the closing. Again, we're done talking about the situation. We're not going to address it anymore. Everything we are going to say here is for future consideration. You should have some kind of a call for an action. Most likely it will be an implied call for an action, something like looking forward to a future working relationship with you. Again, nothing addressing the past and the issue in particular. So in this case, again, just as a reminder, Miss Trumbo, she has been leasing a Canon copier. At this point in time, she wants to convert all of her lease payments, I believe 16 months worth, into for the purchase of a new copier. However, company policy is not going to allow that, and we need to come up with an offer or an alternative or something that's going to help keep Ms. Trumbo as a happy customer. So let's take a look now again at the situation, the poorly written letter, and see what do we keep and what do we don't. So in this particular shot here, you can see the keep stuff is stuff that we may want to consider keeping is in green. Obviously, dear Ms. Trumbo is important. About her making the regular payments for the past 16 months is useful information, could be used somewhere. Again, company policy, important to keep. Talking about company policy and the conversion of leasing monies. Somehow we need to work that in, or can certainly work that in. We can talk maybe a little bit about extremely low leasing and purchase prices. Again, not necessary, but that is something that could be used. Again, applying all of the 16 months of rental payments towards the purchase. Yep, we could certainly maybe figure out how to do that. If we don't say it expressly, we can certainly imply that's what it's looking at. Again, maybe her claim about how the equipment has been reliable and versatile. That's a positive thing. And if she has said it, let's go ahead and repeat that you said this. So again, that would be good to know. And then maybe the bone will be dealing with something about other Canon models. On the other side, all of this here in red needs to really be considered and is not part of a final. Again, about the conversion. We don't want to use the term, prohibits by any stretch of the imagination. We don't want to say anything about her noticing that, anything about what they offer. That's about as good as saying, as you may know, which we don't do. Again, talking about the low leasing prices and something about maybe you'd go out of business if you came up with what you wanted to do. And finally, down at the bottom, limited. Limited is not a good word. That's kind of a negative term. But again, depends on how we use it, but we're not going to bring it back up. So how's this thing going to look? Well, let's take a look at it from the opening, a body, and the closing spec. Now, in the opening, again, a buffer, goodwill, something to kind of calm down things a little bit and set the stage. So, in this particular case, I just put together, Dear Ms. Trumbo, thank you for your continuing loyalty to our company. A positive thing. Obviously, if she's been with you for 16 months, she's been a loyal customer. Strong customer support similar to yours helps us keep our product selection current and prices low. Again, made that up, but that's fine. It's a positive thing. It's an encouraging thing. 1-2 sentences, more than what you need to do here. Now we got to get into the body, the difficult thing. But once we get it set up, it should be an easy flow. So let's take a look. And I started off again with kind of a complimentary thing. We are pleased to hear that you find reliable and versatile the Canon X1000 color copier under contract for the past 16 months. Now, it's important that when I said under contract, because that leads me into the reasoning. And as we can see here in the next sentence, while company policy limits our ability to adjust contracted services, so I'm again bringing that in, making the connection here, we can offer you a special deal on one of our standard models which provides similar services at reduced cost. So there we have the implied, we can't do anything about what you would like the conversion of the 16 months worth. However, instead, in again, the same sentence, one thought separated by a comma, I got right into, we can offer you a special deal. And again, we're going to bring down the product quality maybe a little bit, maybe her standard model, the X1000 maybe is the top of the line. She doesn't need it, fine. We can make an offer, some kind of a deal on one of our, lower quality, for lack of a better term, certainly then price units that she could certainly use. Now to close it out, I mentioned that we can make you a deal, but I need to tell how to get this done. Now, the last thing we want to have customers do is call us to get something done. So in this case, we want to keep this proactive. We want the company to continue into or going with this thing. So in this particular case, I said that Tom Jones, our customer service, one of our customer service, department, will call you next week to discuss the options. So again, I'm being active. The company is being active, contacting her. Again, we don't want her to have to do anything. We're going to do it for her. Finally, let's close this thing out. Now the closing here, Miss Trumbo, again, I'm using her name specifically here. Again, I'm making this personal. I'm bringing her back into it, letting her know that I am talking directly to her. Thank you for your continued loyalty, and we look forward to our mutually rewarding relationship. Need I say more? No. When I say looking forward to our mutually rewarding relationship, that's a call for action. That's an implied, we'll be together in the future. We'll stay together. So that's okay to use. Basically, that's it. Now, let's take a look and see how this thing looks in as a whole. The final version, again, the very top, we got the 2 inches up to 2 inches reserved for a letterhead. Didn't put one in here, but that's what it would be. We have our date, a little bit of the fill zone, the fluff zone. I created an address for Ms. Trumbo, made something up. Dear Ms. Trumbo, I now have the letter in its entirety, the 3 parts, starting with the thank you, the buffer, getting into the reasoning, the can't do it, but we have an option for you, and then finally, again, the closing out. Again, Ms. Trumbo, thank you, and looking forward to working with you. And I made this from a Bill Smith, so I put in a Bill Smith, and I CC'd Tom Jones because I did mention that there's somebody named Tom Jones who will be getting her call. Anyways, there we go, folks. Short, sweet, to the point. We don't want to put in too much information, because if we do, we could potentially get ourselves into trouble. So just tell them what they need to know, and then move on and look forward to the future. Anyways, that should take care of it. If you got any questions, as always, you know how to get a hold of me. Take care.